this is one of the questions from section 1's final exam, and the question is similar to the first question the TA will go through in the review session, but it's slightly different, so I want to go through this version here. So the question is, we have 5 points, and we have 2 clusters, and one cluster center is at -3, and the other one is somewhere probably here at x. And I want cluster 1 to contain 1 point initially, and it probably means the point 0, and all the other 4 points, these 4 points should belong to C2. So here the tie-breaking rule is assigning the point to cluster 2 if the point is equally distant from C1 and C2, and the question is also asking for the largest value of x. So x can be chosen such that the threshold is somewhere in between 0 and 1, but since we want it to be the largest, so we want to move it to the right as much as possible. So the rightmost position, or the largest value, is basically move it such that this 1 point is equally distant from C1 and C2. And in that case, because of the tie-breaking rule, it will be assigned to cluster 2. So the expression for this is 1 should be equally distant, which is the midpoint between C1 and C2. And given this, you can solve for x. And that will be the solution to this question. And there are a few variations of this, and the simplest one is I can change the largest value to the smallest value, but I need to change the tie-breaking rule such that you assign the points to cluster 1 if there is a tie. Then we can move it to the left a bit, so basically we can make 0 equally distant from C1 and C2. If the tie-breaking rule is assign the point to cluster 1, then we will be okay. So let me write that down. So that's 0 is equal to -3 plus x divided by 2 if we want the smallest value, and we break tie by assigning to cluster 1. So the other kind of variation is if you have C2 on the other side and C1 on that side, then you basically do exactly the same thing, except for you flip the largest value and the smallest value. So I will leave those to you as a practice. And it's also possible to have C1 and C2 in between these points, but since it's hard to generate a question like this, so there won't be anything like that on the final exam, so you only need to worry about these 4 cases.